All right. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to turn that off now. I am Tate Griffin, and I am joined today by Avery Rose. We are going to do a offshoot byproduct, bootleg, half-ass Elite Pro Elite Pro podcast. Are you flattered yet?
Of course.
Okay. And we are talking to, again, Avery Rose, who will be wrestling in Mount Storm, West Virginia on the 27th, Friday the 27th of April.
Yes.
And you'll be in a triple threat with Danny DeVille and Casey Carlisle, the Elite Pro Women's Champion. But before we get to all that stuff, I guess one thing to point out is you just became the WDWA Women's Champion in Berkeley Springs, right?
Yes.
Who was your opponent?
London Ollie.
And how was the match?
It was pretty great. She was a tough competitor. I would love to face her again.
Cool. So you're pretty happy with the match overall?
Yeah.
Good. Good. Well, congratulations on your first title. How'd that feel?
It felt great. It was just one of those moments that you really can't believe it's happening, and then...
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. How was the locker room?
It was great. Yeah, everyone was super nice and...
Cool. Cool. Was there anybody you already knew there?
Yeah, there was quite a few people.
Cool. Good stuff. Was that the first time you had met your opponent?
Yes.
Cool. All right. And I want to ask you, you went for a tryout with Angel Gate?
Yes, I did.
Cool. That's neat. Well, tell us about the tryout. How'd it go?
It went great. It was in McKeesport, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
In this little old church.
Some ambiance.
Yes.
Did it have a high ceiling and everything? Was it a Catholic church? Did it have like the stained glass windows?
It did.
Oh, that's awesome.
I get there and they tell me that their ceiling was leaking, so half the ring was soaked.
Oh, that's great.
So their first question was, do you mind bumping on a wet ring?
Right.
I was like, well, I drove 2 hours for you to see me work, so I guess we're bumping on a wet ring today.
So bring it on.
Yeah.
And I'm not laughing in like a disparaging way. I just want to point that out real quick. Like that's independent wrestling. You just never know what you're going to walk into. I mean, we've seen it all, done it all. That's cool though.
Yeah.
Was anybody else not willing to bump in a wet ring?
The girl they had me paired up with was kind of iffy about it. She was more like, I'd rather not.
Okay.
So they told us just to work on chaining and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So there were a few moves where they were like, what would you do to get out of this? I was like, well, I would arm drag or grab her foot and throw her to the ring, but I can't do that right now because there's a lake over there.
Right.
So
So is this like do they run shows there or
yes.
is in the same spot?
Mm-hmm.
So was there a show that day?
No.
Okay.
They just normally train on Sundays and Mondays. So.
I see. Okay. How often do they run shows?
I think they said they do one every month.
Oh, wow. So the church is no longer used as a church.
No.
Just the building. That's pretty cool, though. Like a cool
Yeah.
feel to it. Did you get any pictures by any chance?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Or are you going to go back? You're going to go back and wrestle for them?
Yes.
I mean, how'd the trial go overall?
It went really well. After I did my tryout, they came out and handed me a microphone.
Nice.
And said, this is the scenario. Cut a promo. And,
Was that the first promo you've cut on a microphone?
yes.
Really?
Yes.
In training or in person, right?
Yes.
Did they have it hooked up and everything, or were they just
They
like...
did, and it was really weird
See
hearing
your
your voice
voice.
over the... So.
That's great.
And then the girl that I was trying out with, I got to attack her, and she got to cut a promo on me, and then I got to give her my response.
Nice.
So.
Cool. Were they taping it or anything, or
No.
who was in charge of kind of keeping an eye on it, or I guess I should say it's a tryout. Who was evaluating you? Was it just the promoter?
Yeah, there was 2 promoters there.
Okay. Cool. And you got some good feedback?
I did. They said it went really well. They were really impressed with my skill level, being that I've only been doing this for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they have 4 more shows this year, and they invited me back for them.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. What do you think about Mount Storm facing Danny DeVille and Casey Carlisle, who, I mean, Casey's, Danny's good too, don't get me wrong, but Casey's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And she's been at the top of the mountain for quite a while.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be a really good match.
Yeah.
I have faced Danny several times, and I know she is extremely tough. I have only faced Casey once, and that was in the tag match.
Yeah.
And
I remember watching that thinking, man, she's getting the shit kicked out
yes.
of her.
Yes.
Would that be a fair synopsis of what was happening?
Yes, that was exactly what was happening.
But hey, I mean, you took it and you gave it right back. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other shows do you have coming up? Anything else on the horizon?
We have the one at Mount Storm on the 27th, and then the 28th I have UCW in Ashland, Virginia, where I will be facing Casey as well.
Oh, cool.
For the UCW Women's Championship.
Whoa. Is she the champion?
No, she's not. Someone had to forfeit the title, so now it's just open.
So it's up for grabs, and you have a shot at facing her there.
I do.
Wow. If I were you, I would hope that Casey wouldn't pick up and notice that, because you might get a even worse beating on the 27th.
Yes.
Walking into the 28th.
She will incapacitate me for the 28th.
It's just two birds with one, two championships with one stone type of a move. I mean, that's terrible for you, but you know, I'm you know. All right, well, going backwards, going back to the beginning. What made you want to do this? I mean, a lot of times I'll have at the training center. You know, you'll have. I don't know, you'll have like a 17 or 18-year-old kids call up and say, I always wanted to do this, I'm finally old enough and now I'm here. And then at the other end of the scale, you'll have guys that are, in their 40s or even 50s saying, it's something I always wanted to do, I thought it'd be too late, is it? Like, it's like almost, I don't want to say a bucket list thing, but like, if I'm ever going to do it, this is my last chance.
Yeah.
And you're neither of those. I mean, you are an adult, you're young, and you have your whole life in front of you, but you have like, a career, like, you're established, and then you come in and do this. And honestly, I never would have guessed that. Like, I obviously didn't know you before you started wrestling, but you seem like a fairly reserved person, and I don't want to say shy, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, okay, like, we'll see. Like, there's a lot of people that come and go, and I've seen a lot of people come and go, and you weren't somebody that I pegged for wanting to do this, much less than excelling at it. I'm not saying I doubted you, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, do I sound horrible? But what made you decide to do this?
Well, I've always been a fan of wrestling growing up.
Okay.
Me and my brother even built a wrestling ring in our backyard. Just one of those little
Nice.
cheap, crappy ones that, fell apart whenever you did it.
Well, as opposed to the really expensive, high-end ones that we built in our backyard.
Yeah.
How old is he? Is he older or younger than you?
He's older. He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
He started out training with CPW.
Shane Shadows, CPW?
Yes.
Cool.
And I was always at his shows. So I kind of got to know some of the wrestlers there. And I even got to help put together the ring and
Oh, neat.
all that stuff. Well, then he ended up getting a concussion, and my mom, being my mom, was like, no more wrestling.
How old were you guys then?
He was 16, 17, I think.
Okay. So you, at the age of 14, are wrestling your 16 or 17-year-old brother and gave him a concussion?
Yes.
Okay. Just getting that clear. Okay, go ahead.
So then I ended up moving back up to Pennsylvania, went to college, and then after I graduated, I was like, I have more free time. This is something I've always wanted to do, so now would be the perfect opportunity for me to get into it.
Yeah. And so did you do some research around, or was it like, oh, you live here, let's try here? Did somebody recommend Elite Pro to you, or?
Well, actually, I started going to the Elite shows.
Okay, just to watch them.
Yeah, just to watch them. And then I was talking to Jason Raditz, and he was like, yeah, if it's something you want to do, then go for it.
Cool. Sometimes that little nudge of somebody that's already doing it, saying, hey,
yeah,
you can do it. That's cool. Because did your brother, he wrestled for CPW, or did he just train and then...
He was just training and then got away from it.
Okay. Cool. So, to the name, how long did it take for you to come up with your name?
That took forever. I think that was...
Really?
That was the longest thing ever. Because I was running these ideas through my head, and I was like, no, those don't sound good. I don't like those. And my friends at work were doing that thing on Google, like your wrestling generator name that you can type into Google.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting these, like, really ridiculous names. And
do you remember any of them? Can you lay any of them on us?
one was like, what was the one? One was Ghetto Bomber, which was the most ridiculous name in the world. And
we had a guy that tried to, not to interrupt you, we had a guy that signed, well, he wanted to sign up, and he said they wanted his name to be Carpet Sample. And it was over at the old training center over in Wendover Street over in towards Fort Ashby. He gave it, he's like, I was kind of thinking Carpet Sample, because then I could like make all these jokes. And I was like, I don't see any jokes in there, but anyway.
And I went into work the one day, and my coworker was like, yeah, so what do you think about Avery Rose? And I was like, sounds perfect. Let's go for it.
Cool.
So,
and it worked out.
It did.
I know you had some issues with your gear.
Yes.
Can you shine some light on on that?
Well, when I ordered my gear, they told me that it would be 4 weeks and I would have it.
We're not going to call out who it was, huh?
No.
Okay. It was High Spots. Anyway.
But I would have it in 4 weeks, and I ended up getting an email from them, like right at the 4-week mark, that said my gear was done and it would be shipped out in a couple days. Well, I waited a couple days and I never got another email with shipping confirmation, so I called them. And they said they couldn't give out any details until after the gear was finished. So then I get an instant message from the guy who's doing my gear, and he was like, I just need a couple more measurements before I can start your gear.
And this is after you got an email saying it was done?
Yes.
Okay.
So they hadn't even started it yet. And I was starting to freak out because I had my very first show coming up.
Sure.
On November 18th. And
I know it's your first show whenever you remember the exact date it was.
Yes. I was freaking out because my gear wasn't here. Well, then they send me a picture, and it's on the mannequin, and body parts were exposed. And I was like, well, this is not going to work.
We're not that kind of wrestling show.
I ended up getting my gear the day before the show. The day before.
Wow.
But it turned out great. Everything fit properly, and I was able to keep everything covered. So.
And able to go on with the show.
Yes.
So, well, that's cool. Who was your opponent in your first match?
It was a triple threat with Tess Valentine and Danny DeVille.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm trying to think, was there anybody, who else was on the show? Was there any names on the show?
I don't think there was that show.
I think so. How many shows have you been on where there has been a name there? Have you gotten to work with the Patriot? Has he been on a show yet?
No. Al Snow.
Al Snow
was the first one.
Cool. Yeah, which is funny because the Patriot is on so many of our shows, and this is the longest dry spell without the Patriot on a card we've had. I think he was there the show before you debuted, and he's been on. I mean, up to that point, he was on all but maybe 5 or 6 shows over the course of 9 years.
Yeah, there were several shows when I was back watching them that he was on them.
And he's returning June the 30th. We're doing War Games at Kaiser High School on June the 30th, everyone. So, and I guess you could end up walking into that show, the Elite Pro Women's Champion, if things go your way.
Yes.
You know, in less than 2 weeks in Mount Storm, West Virginia. Shameless plug. So, yeah, you can get tickets for that show and any of our other shows if you message facebook.com/EliteProUniverse or give us a call at 301-697-1909, or you can stop in at Calling All Heroes Comics at 50 Stately Street, which is where we are sitting and waxing as we speak. So, there's all of that stuff. Is there anybody that you really, really want to work with? Like, who's your dream opponent, I guess I should say? I mean, if you can wrestle anybody in the world, who would you really, really like to wrestle with?
If I could wrestle anybody, it would probably be... Well, I grew up with Trish and Lita as my absolute favorite wrestlers.
Sure.
So either one of them would be a dream match for me.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever get to meet him?
No.
I imagine meeting him would be pretty sweet, huh?
Yes. Have a total fangirl moment. I'd probably pass out.
That's cool. anybody else that you just really like to work with? You're like, nope. Just those two. Everybody else.
Just those two,
everybody else can suck it.
I know for the longest time when I was like starting out, Casey Carlisle was always a dream match of mine.
That's cool. And you've gotten to wrestle her.
Yeah.
You're going to have to deal with her twice.
Yes.
in 24 hours. Oh.
It's going to be a fun 24 hours.
Well, you'll have to stop back at the comic store. You have to hobble back into the comic store and tell us how it went, okay?
I will.
All right, then. Well, we appreciate you stopping by the comic store.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. We'll see you later. I guess I'll just, let's see here. Oh, there's a lot of people. Applause.